of God mode. The title of today's talk is Why Democratic Party no longer represents Democratic Party. Now, before we begin, a caveat, small caveat. By Democratic Party, I'll use the terms liberals and Democratic Party interchangeably, and the left interchangeably, all three terms. I'm not a political science major or anything like that. I'm not an expert. I'm not a political analyst. So I'll keep it real simple. Just use them interchangeably. And by Democrats, I mean the left, the liberals, and the woke culture and everything, and and the mainstream media and everything. So I'll lump them all together. And um, so yeah, so it's from a layperson's perspective. It's nothing official. I don't know the jargons or anything. I am no Kyle Kalinske here, or like David Pacman or whatever. Like freaking. So I made some notes. I wrote down some bullet points because just to be coherent. Sometimes I felt my last blog wasn't that coherent. But ultimately, I want to get to the stage where I just rip off the top of the dome, impromptu, ad hoc, fucking freestyle, key. That's a hip hop term. Like key, like you do it. Nothing to do with cocaine or anything. Anywho, so yeah, but first a bit of context and background about myself. So I lived in South Africa for 3 years. From before that I was in Bangladesh, and even before that I was in Pennsylvania when I was a kid, just for a year, like when I was like around 6 or 5, I don't remember. So yeah, so in 1998 I came from South Africa to America, to California, and things were pretty chill back then. Even though I had my own problems, the teenage problems, teenage angst. I was back in the day. That was back in the days of DMX and Rough Riders Anthem and whatnot. I was my Hotmail account said Zeeshan DMX at hotmail.com. And yeah, I was big into. And before that, I was into like I think I was into Puff Daddy or like Sean Puffy Combs. So yeah, my rap taste evolved. I mean, like ultimately where it ended at Eminem. Basically, that's my favorite rapper. But before that, it was Coolio, something new, or like Dangerous Minds. And back in those days, 90s. I'm talking about 90s, mid 90s, late 90s. So when I first came to America, I knew nothing about Democrats versus Republicans. I was not interested in politics. I was a little kid back then. It was only after shit hit the fan after 9/11 I became heavily interested, not heavily, became really interested in politics. I was doing security guard, a job as security guard. And actually, I was a job as a dishwasher basically. And then I had this enormous burst, like sort of unlocking of brain for philosophy after I was concurrently taking class in philosophy and reading on my own. Had enormous growth of neurons, neurogenesis really pertaining to philosophy. So that led to philosophy, I mean politics, briefly. So that was when I had my first brush with Rousseau, and I was just checking them out on online, like sort of HTML files, like Montesquieu, John Stuart Mill, Barton Russell. I used to have Barton Russell biography at my home in my library, and so yeah, utilitarianism, Rousseau. When I left home, when I left home, I wrote a long message to my mom, and then the first line was, "All men are born free, but everywhere he's in chains." That was from Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Voltaire, I was influenced by Voltaire, and at that time, during the late 90s, like 98 or or even early 2000, around September 11, I Voltaire, Candide, I was influenced by that, and like I was like the penny dropped that you can be a deist, you can believe in God and not belong to any institutional religion. So I had a belief in a higher power. That's when it started developing. That I started shedding my beliefs of Islam as religion, and I started being more of a deist actually. But that was on an intellectual level. Obviously, it wasn't until I had cannabis I didn't realize that there is God. That was the ultimate proof because cannabis is an entheogen. It ultimately shows that. But even later, I think I said all these things before in one of my podcasts. So it was the first time I knew for sure, like the back of my hand, was when I had low doses of salvia accidentally, and that's when the genie came out of the bottle from my body, the spirit came out, and I knew for for a fact they're reverberating in Bangla. They say Bagaibi. It's like majestic, like very like fucking ex cathedra vibe. Like their God exists. He's this power. He's this Vato. He's OG. So when shit hit the fan, 9/11, and I also wanted to be back in the days. I was attracted to David Blaine, like the whole, his demeanor and everything, the whole fucking, his get up. Like, he is this thuggy scholar who drops Nietzsche, Hermann Hesse, Siddhartha, and he is this buff guy, ripped guy who does all this water like Frozen in Time or like Buried Alive stunts. And he's this extremely like ripped, like a very manly guy who's cool, uber cool, and he has this like chill persona, cool. And so I wanted to emulate that, and when 9/11 happened, all my dreams, like was went to dust. It's like, and it's funny when I look back after 21 years, it's like how fickle that the fear was. It's, how they say that your fears are ultimately, it's like a shadow of a rat or something. It's like the greatest fear we have is like, the cartoon you saw, like ultimately it can be like it's just nothing but a shadow cast by an image cast by a rat shadow. So yeah, we magnify our fears, and my fear was, oh shit! Now that 9/11 happened, all the Muslims will be ostracized. I will never be like David Blaine. I'll never emulate him, and never be able to go to the execs of CBS. I even know Leslie Moonves was CBS, because CBS exec. I remember now because I was googling those, not googling, yahooing them, those people, or rather, yeah, yahooing them, or alta vistaing them. And my greatest fear at that time, my paranoia was, oh shit, Muslims will forever be ostracized. And that is extremely important point, because some people went to the extreme length, like Richard Gere, who said we should all be compassionate to the people who hurt us, to the terrorists, basically. And he had his Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist, upbringing. I mean, religious viewpoint. And so that was like, whoa, here I am, barely like us, trading waters of philosophy and politics, and here's this guy who's talking about complete forgiveness for the people who is doing some of the most heinous crime in history of the world. And that is extreme. And even much later on, like even more recently, 2 years back or like a year back, when I find Duncan Trussell, he like who shredded military and US politics, especially military, how military, like American Sniper, he shredded that movie. So that's another example of liberal, like how I love liberal progressive ideas were like virtues, like how it's like, and God is ultimately liberal. God is ultimately liberal. He's like when you ask for something, granted, no question asked. Like the customer service. When you ask for forgiveness, forgiven, no question asked. Just like that. That's the God mentality. That's the Vato mode. God is big OG gangster. And so yeah, so when Richard Gere, when I saw those like 9/11 happening, Richard Gere, I was like, whoa, blown away. And then finally, I got hooked into Bill Maher, and Bill Maher was like, and Bill Maher got cancelled for saying these people got balls for doing what they did. He got pulled up even way before cancel culture. He got pulled up from politically incorrect his show, and now he's obviously doing good with real time with Bill Maher and everything. But back in the days, and he got Dixie checked. He even used those terms. And I remember he said, "Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I might live in a body bag, never in cuffs." He quoted Exhibit. So that's another rapper whom I later took interest in, Exhibit. The first year was Coolio. First year was Coolio. Then it was fucking DMX, no, Puff Daddy, then DMX, then Exhibit, then finally Eminem, and now I don't have any favorite rapper. Not even Eminem. Eminem is a fucking boomer right now. Anywho, so yeah, rap is dead. Hip hop is fucking dead, and none of the. I mean, yeah, no one. Yeah, fucking. Yeah. Anywho, so when that happened, and I was also doing security guard from. I moved on from dishwasher to security guard, and when I was a dishwasher, I used to debate about. I remember debating with another guy in the kitchen about America's politics on Israel and Palestine, and that guy was pro-Israeli, and he was Mexican actually, but he was pro-Israeli, and could be could be he could be who knows, he could be Jewish Mexican, who knows. He had a very leaning, and he was saying, hey Zeeshan, how come when Israelis killed terrorists, is it's like pinpoint precision, It's like he had his own fucked up delusional viewpoint, like how Israel is only kills terrorists and Palestinians kills everyone. But anywho, so and then I was defending Palestinians back then, and because obviously I had my still my Muslim leaning because of my upbringing, even though I wasn't following Islam, but still I was sympathetic to Islam. And I read a book about how this white guy, Democrat white guy, how he ripped Israel, and how he was saying how media like because of the Jewish lobby, you don't get to hear the real story, and how it's actually the Palestinians who are more of the victim than the Israelis. But I'm getting sidetracked here. So yeah, that was so I was slowly trading, testing waters of politics, and another one guy who influenced me was Johnny Wendell, or known as Johnny Angel. He was on KFI, and KFI was filled with this fucking the racist. I mean, I say loosely, but fucking people like Rush Limbaugh, fucking people like, I don't know if Hannity was there back then, but all these KFI, and you could, and Jesus, it used to make my blood boil. And he was the only guy who lone fighter in a KFI who would actually make fun of Rush Limbaugh on their own fucking station. And not only that, he had incredible range of vocabulary. He was an incredible eloquent speaker. I even reached out to him in Hotmail and bugged him once or twice. Like, I'm a Bangladeshi guy and I have a solution for traffic problem of LA. But anywho, and anyways, but I finally I respected his privacy and whatnot. But I reached out to him, and he's a pretty cool guy, and he's who's into rock music, and he has his own band or whatever. So he was a huge inspiration and hero when I was a security guard. I used to listen to the radio, and I was specifically I used to look forward to his views. So liberal views shaped me a lot, especially of 9/11, how all these people stood up for us, and also there was a saying how black people say, "Hey, you guys were in the backseat, bruh. Now you're in the front." Like, like black people experienced this firsthand. Now you guys are the front seat. Okay. So when all these white people, liberals, they backed me up. It was very inspirational, actually, all these, and those are the real democratic values, because just because some wacko or nut job Muslims did it. And even when I was reading newspapers, the Garden Grove police was saying, just because some guy did fucking white job did something in 3,000 or 2,000 miles away, doesn't mean shit should go down here. Like, they were the police, the Garden Grove police, they were 45, not 45, they're defending, they were what do you call that, they're defending, they were protecting the mosques in the Garden Grove Mosque in Southern California, Orange County. And so that was again inspirational. Like, this is what humanity should be, regardless of race, creed, color, religion, whatever. People should just police should do the job just because for what they are. And we're California, and as much as I shit on the liberals and Democrats right now, I'm about to. These are good things, California, the people are friendly in California. Even Canadians, the Canadians and Californians kind of like we're, and as much as we have our problems in California, we are a good friendly people. Like, people are more friendly. I don't even know about Texas or anything, but especially after coming from South Africa, where like it was still post apartheid. It's a big volte-face, not a volte-face, like a very big, 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 like a big change of paradigm, like how people, regardless of race, because South Africa is all about white people, like they treat like brown people as second class citizens. But ironically, the same treating us immigrants as second class citizens would also seep into Democrats thing. Like, I remember when I was going to college, again, circa 9/11, of this guy, and I was thinking of dropping out and emulating David Blaine, and this guy said, "Oh, you should be a computer scientist because that's what you guys are supposed to do." And he was a Democrat. He was a liberal. I mean, trust me, I would have known if he was a Republican. He was a very conservative, ultra right, zealous right guy. And that's the thing with Democrats. They pretend to do good. They pretend to do virtue signal, and they pretend to do this savior messiah complex. They're helping us people, but they still treat us as second class citizens. And and that's another thing that I'm gonna talk about. Like, okay, so now I'm gonna go to the meat of my argument. Democrats, they're hypocrites, they're intolerant, they don't preach the core values of liberals, progressive, of age of enlightenment, of Rousseau, Montaigne, Montesquieu, those people. It's all about intolerance. They're wolf in sheep's clothing. They pretend to be the nice goody, empaths, but they're not. Alan Watts quotes Chuang Tzu, Sorry, Confucius, I think. I still don't know who he quoted, Chuangzi or Confucius. Like, goody goodies are thieves of virtue. People remember, they talk about mental illness, whatever, awareness for mental illness. When they lobotomizing, they also thought they were doing good. When they were doing exorcising people of witches, witch hunt, they thought they were doing good. When they burned people at stake at Inquisition, they thought they were doing good. Democrats have the same woke cultures, SJW. Right now, they have the same mentality, and it obviously devolved. Especially, it devolved way. It went way downhill after, I think, circa 2016. It started going really downhill because of Trump, and especially with the advent of internet and everything, and big tech are rising to powers. And that's the thing. Democrat the real Democrat progressive liberal values was freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, especially freedom of speech. But what, look at them, big tech, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, mass media, all this, they have sold their soul to the globalists. It's all about power and money and fucking power trip. Oh, some guy is doing donut on the parking lot. The parking lot. Shit. He's screeching and doing donuts. Fucking, he's doing donuts. Shit. Well, he's doing damage to his own car. Shit. Scared me. Because it's almost like, and he did it really fast. Shit. So yeah, Democrats, big tech, Twitter, Facebook, they don't represent liberal values. Democratic Party don't represent liberal values anymore. It's all about power hungry, selling their soul to the globalists, to the corporations, to the big pharma and whatnot, to the lobbyists. They don't they preach liberal core values, but look at them. They talk about censorship. They talk about mass surveillance. They talk about contact tracing. How fucked up they are. How the fuck can they be liberal? How the fuck can you, when you have the nerve to call yourself Democrat and progressive, espousing progressive values, when you're preaching, when you're spouting your mass censorship, mass surveillance, your contact tracing, you're removing people's being intolerant of, and this, I will never be tolerant of the intolerant. But fool, you fucking idiot. That's what the whole point of tolerance is, that you have to be tolerant of the intolerant. When I went to the first time when I went to high school, when my civics class, and pretty much everywhere, even in college, the thing they drilled in us, there are a lot of diverse views in the class, and you have to be tolerant of those people who are not who doesn't share the same opinion as yours. But the liberals don't preach that. It's like, oh, I'll never be tolerant of the neo-Nazi. And that's the thing, neo-Nazi or hate or whatever. But that's the thing, you fucking idiot. You fucking dumb fuck. That's what you're supposed to do. You have to be tolerant of the intolerant. You don't want to do the dirty work. You're not like the black guy who changed the Nazi Klansman's mind. See, that takes effort. That is difficult. That has to go against the grain. You sit on you sit on your Twitter. You sit in front of Twitter, raise some stupid hell about some fucking gender bullshit or something, and raise some. And now in cricket, they said, oh, batsman is politically incorrect. Sambit Bal, or whatever that guy's name is, he's like, oh, we have to talk about batter now. Are you fucking shitting me? We cannot talk about batsmen anymore because we have to gender neutral. Fuck you. Fuck you. This is how much they have devolved. This SGW woke culture. Anywho, so yeah, they sit on their fat ass on Twitter, and they don't want to do the dirty work like the black guy who made peace with the Klansman. And there are a lot of examples like that. Just Google that. They don't want to do the dirty work. They want to sit on the front of Twitter and they scream patriarchy another thing, feminists. You talk about Me Too and whatever. What about due process? These are the core liberal values. These are what Constitution stands for. These are what we fought for. Not we. That's why the country was born for. Fucking freedom of speech, due process, even Second Amendment. That's in Constitution. You don't respect Constitution. The liberals, Democrats, they're supposed to fight for these things. The Vietnam, in 1960s, the hippies, that's what they fought for. But the real democratic values right now, it's all gone down the drain. It's not about that anymore. It's about politics. It's all about corruption. It's about power. It's about, if Democrats could get away with it, they'll sell the whole fucking country to China. That's how debased they are. And Biden is a fucking puppet. Saki, who is another fascist. She was talking about how if you ban from Twitter, that's not enough. You have to be banned from Facebook, from YouTube, from all platforms. Are you fucking kidding me? How are you in your right mind could you fucking talk about fucking you're a Democrat? This is anything but democratic ideals. This is anything but progressive liberal ideals. This is the antithesis of liberal progressive values. You have some nerve, you people, you Democrats, talking about mass surveillance, contact tracing, fucking banning people from everywhere, fucking ostracizing people, and you have the nerve to call yourself Democrats. And this has come from someone um, who has been extremely influenced and sculpted by liberal philosophy. I am deep down inside. I am a very democratic thing, but the democratic like Biden, these people they don't represent a democratic the core ideals of progressive values. It's all about, as I said, if they could get away, they'll sell our country to China. They'll make, and that's another thing. All these tech giants like Bhatia, Pichai, or all the Sundar Pichai, and these are the top of the. They're just like the Batman code. They're just the beginning. The real they're so diseased and corrupted. There are a lot of Indian people and Pakistani or whatever, like Southeast Asian people. I don't want to single out Indians, and they bring their baggage from India and they like influence it. And what I mean by that? Indian people, Bangladeshis, we Pakistanis wouldn't have all these values. Wouldn't respect constitution or the values espoused in the constitution. Respect these values. For instance, there was this psychiatrist, Indian lady. She wrote in a psychiatric journal how covert medication should be is a good thing. Basically, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Covert medication for mentally ill people. These and there's a term called flying monkey, which basically means someone who supports the narcissist. A lot of Indian people, a lot of psychiatrists in the psychiatry department, a lot of people are Indians, Sri Lankan, who knows, probably Pakistanis too, or like probably Egyptians. And these people are flying monkeys. They support the abusers. They think it is somehow good by covert medication. And these people are actually covert narcissists themselves. And what white people in America do, they employ these people because they have to fill this position, whilst unbeknownst to them, they don't even realize these people are diseasing and corrupting American values. On the ironically, these people who these Bangladeshis, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Egyptians, whatever, these people are actually second-class citizens. They don't realize the white people have all the power, and these people are being are under actually working under them. Even though some could be rise to be CEOs and whatnot. So the point being, they bring their baggage, their subcontinental baggage, which is extremely narcissistic. Because there is actually Teal Swan even talked about it. There's a spate of narcissistic people in our culture, Southeast Asian, even in China and whatnot. So these people, they have all these positions in the tech and the big tech, and what they do with they abuse their influence, and I'm gonna put a backup of this video in case this gets taken down, because I don't trust these people, this big tech. So yeah, these people, they're disease, they're corrupting, they're adulterating the American values. And the irony is, these people are actually working for all the white people are the Democrats. They're putting all the shots, but they're working under them because they're the beta males, and even if when they rise to the power, they bring all their narcissistic personalities from their subcontinent, and they surreptitiously they infuse it in our society, just like the covert medication example. And look at Google; they have all these bhatiyas and all the whatnot, all these fucking Indian beta males, and they enforce mass surveillance, contact tracing, take up freedom of speech, mass censorship, and this all under the pretense of, oh, we want to make a world a better place, like YouTube censorship. Why? It's like as if you want to make it Disneyfied. Like even if you write, I just wrote a comic yesterday, like it was a sloppy video, and it's not only that the algorithm takes it out. Sometimes they push shoves it all the way down, or if not, they just take it out. It's like, really? You wanna fucking edit out things that you don't like? You wanna edit out dissent? You fucking idiot! And you have the nerve to call yourself Democrats, progressive value liberal? The whole point of progressive liberal values was to stand up for these things. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend. I'll die, and I'll die to defend. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll die for the right oh, fuck. And it's not attributed to Voltaire. The Voltaire it's actually attributed to some other lady. It's actually belongs to another lady. But yeah, I may not agree with what you say, but I will die to defend your right to say it. Something like that. I'm getting too excited here, but yeah, that's the whole point. You fucking liberal, brother. You fucking mook. You fucking idiot. That's what tolerance means. Tolerance doesn't mean that you agree with whatever you like, preachy, lovey-dovey, peachy stuff. It means that you might like what you have to say. Grow a fucking thick skin and absorb it and suck it up and fucking just like a professional lawyer or doctor. You might agree. You might like who's the patient. You might like who's the client. You have to suck it up and be a professional and do your job. But Democrats are not. They're like the big baby wine babies, SJW snowflakes who preach all these liberal values and don't know nothing about what liberal values are, like which is love, compassion, forgiveness. Forgiveness? Are you fucking shitting me? Forgiveness? They're the hateful people who like who conducts witch hunt, who are like the media, mainstream media and whatnot, and they have gone down to the gutters. They have lost their soul. They're devils. They're devils in disguise of saints. That's what they are. They have self-cannibalized, they've eaten themselves up, and they have devolved into fucking this disgusting cesspool of a party. And no wonder no wonder people they freak out, they pretend, they act all surprised if no one votes for them. Why should they? You don't espouse it, you don't stand up for democratic values, you don't love your enemies, you don't have Christ consciousness. Just like the empaths, you go to a lot of empath forums or YouTube comments, they hateful. They hate the person who abused them as narcissistic. They plot their death and whatnot, and they pretend to be these virtuous empaths. They're the most disgusting, horrible people. They're worse than narcs. Empaths are worse than narcs. The moment people pretend to be nice, the virtuous, the virtue signal, like pretend to be holier than thou and whatever, sanctimonious, that's when they're hiding something. And that's why they hate Trump, because he has nothing to hide. He's boorish, he's arrogant, he's smug, and they hate that because he is the projection of their shadow of their psyche. That's what he is. And they know that. They know that. He's the result, he's the project. And ultimately, okay, you know what? After I calm down, I understand. You want to do good. But sometimes, as Elon Musk said, sometimes doing good is sometimes the worst thing you can do to the world. Well, how do you know what's good for others? How do you know what's good for you? So yeah, growing up, I used to always used to think the Republicans are the bad guy. They're the ones you shouldn't talk to. They're the boogeyman. And in all fairness, Republicans also have the same problem, and we all know that. I'm by no means a Republican. I don't know. I don't empathize with their all the right, because they create this boogeyman, as someone said in a comment. I think it was a Dave Pacman video. They create this boogeyman. The left are these horrible people. But okay, but there are some aspect of truth to that. Yeah, left are some, the woke culture is extremely toxic. But other than that, when it comes to Islam, they will be speaking Arabic if they didn't go and fight the war on Iraq. So yeah, obviously the conservatives, the right, the Republicans, they have their own problems and whatnot. They create this boogeyman, the straw man, and they demolish it, which is an extremely straw man. It was a very definition of straw man. But forget, we're not talking about Republicans here. Let's introspect on fellow skepticism, on fellow skepsis, navel gazing. Let's gaze our own navel. Let's find out what's wrong with our party. And yeah, deep down, I'm still, even though yeah, fucking fuck Hillary, fuck Biden. Before that, I mean, and there's the thing with Democrats. People assume the Democrats are all the lovey-dovey hippies. They're not. Bill Clinton bombed Sudan and Libya just to divert his attention from impeachment. How the fuck is that liberal hippie values? Democrats are just as disgusting and ugly as the other party they vilify and they demonize. You think only the Republicans wants to bomb people? People like what's this guy's name? James Woods, who said, "Hey, just kill those towel heads." He said that on Jay Leno. That's how after 9/11. The towel heads like press the bomb, whatever. You think Republicans are, but that's what you're fighting. Your party has the same fucking problem. Your party has the same exact problem. Obama, what about killing Bin Laden? Where was his due process? And I'm not being apologist of Bin Laden or anything, but here's the thing: you just that was plain execution. It's not like as if Obama is this liberal. See, they're just they're just a mouthpiece. They will do what ultimately the real people would the real powers who be want them to be. And Biden is the ultimate puppet and mouthpiece for liberal for the globalist corporation. And there is some truth to that. It's all about power. Do you know the Republican Party? Yeah, Democrats didn't do that, but Republican Party after this venal Republican Party from out of bribery, they made a law that they can track what you search on ISP. I know that. I know exactly like all everything you type in your ISP, the ISP keeps a record of it for 6 months. So all your disgusting habits and fetishes, your food fetish, your milk fetish, ISP records everything. Fucking ISP records everything. And the Republicans did that out of money. The soul is this. They made a law, and I don't know the name of the senator, but a lot of senators like they got together, they got bribed, and they did that, and they made the law that ISP will be able to monitor everything. So basically, and but make no mistake, the Democrats would, if they could get away, and not get away, they are doing it. They're talking about mass censorship, mass surveillance, fucking. They want to turn this into Orwell, and it has already become police state, and they want, and instead of fighting against it, they support it. They even usher it, whether it be vaccine passports or whatnot. And these were the things that they're supposed to fight against, not for it. Especially big tech, who has all these Indian people in them, who brings all the baggage. And I'm not vilifying India as a nation. I'm sure a lot of Indians are fed up with that party, like with the Indian people who Indian kids who grew up here. I'm talking about all these people who come from the other immigrants. They bring their values of who does not resonate nor rhyme with dovetail with our American values of free speech or constitutional values, and even Second Amendment also has to do with that. So they bring that and they dilute and adulterate American culture with their toxic, narcissistic values. And these white people, it's all big of circle jerk politics, bro. It's a chakra. That's what it is. And white people also enroll them so that they can marionette them like second class citizens, and all the whilst selling our dear of American values to the highest bidder. That's what we have come down to. I think I'm done here. So that was my rant. 30 minutes of rant about why Democratic Party has how they have sold their soul, and why they no longer represent democratic values. And the thing is, these are the things people fought for, like in the 60s or Vietnam or whatever. These are things, but they don't. And even like they've cannibalized themselves under this woke culture, this fucking the feminist gender neutrality, race, BLM, under the guise of all this bullshit. They have eroded their the real values, what the bulwark values, what they're supposed to, the foundation on which they should stand, the liberal values, the progressive values. They have ultimately demolished it, because that's what humanity. It's not human. Evil is evil. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter you're left or not right. It doesn't matter you're narc or empath. Evil is evil. Evil, people, human greed is such that they get corrupted by greed, politics, power hungry, power trip. They're corrupted by it, and they will do anything, like a heroin junkie or for a fix. They'll do anything to satisfy their needs, whether it be Saki, whether it be mainstream media, with CBS, New York, even New York Times. Like these people, they don't espouse it, they don't understand it, they can care less about real liberal values. What I mean by real liberal values, like, yeah, I know it's toxic. I know fucking Klansmen are toxic, but I'll be like God and I'll let them breathe. Allow them to breathe. If they want to protest, fucking whatnot. Now, obviously, when you break crime and that's a different thing. Like you can break crime or whatnot. But it's not about that. See, they don't want to do the dirty work, as I mentioned. They don't want to change them. Look at the empaths and the narc shenanigan conundrum. They think that those people can never be. They're beyond reproach. They'll never be. They'll never be healed. Some people understand the hard people, and they see, but they're so cynical and negative, and then also they talk about mental illness awareness. Fucking SRI kill more people. Like SRI fucking will paralyze and cripple you mentally and will damage your brain. How the fuck is that helping people? You fucking idiot. You're coming out of fear. That's what you are doing. You have this sick, disgusting mentality with this I'm doing some good, I'm doing some good, but you're not. You're not. The worst thing you can do is doing some making a difference in our life. Whether it be like that kid, what's her name? Greta Thunberg, whatever. Stop making a difference. We don't want you to make a difference. The world is perfect as it is. By being helping others, by doing, you're actually like making it even worse. Just like Alan Watts' quote. Let me help you or else you'll drown, said the monkey putting the fish on the tree. Putting the fish on the tree. That's exactly what the liberals do, the virtue signaling Democrats do. They think they're helping people, they're not. They think they're helping people, the mentally ill people by the locking them up and the medicating, the over medicating. They're not. They think they're helping the black people and the people of color by being the messiah and the savior, by they're the hero, by saving us, the poor brown skinned people. But they're not. Anywho, I'm done ranting. But big tech, it is going, it's a slippery slope. Is going unchecked, and they're getting more and more power. And obviously, the bubble will burst, and they'll be too big for their own breaches, and they'll collapse because pride comes before the fall. And even big tech, I mean, even I'm not talking about Donald Trump suing them. Even big tech, they'll, every dog has its day in the court. Like even big tech will collapse one day because people ultimately get sick and fed up of all these people. Just look at the downvotes on Gillette commercials and whatnot. And CIA talked about cisgender, hiring a cisgender people. That also got a lot of downvotes. And yeah, ultimately people get will see. It doesn't matter if you're what color you are, what creed of religion or party you are. Ultimately, you'll get sick and tired of it because it's all common sense. Yeah, common. It doesn't matter if you're right or left. Yeah, we all want diversity. We all think should black people should have as equally as white people. Blah blah blah. Female should have equal wage and whatnot. And yes, I understand deep down inside you do want to make good, like you do like gay marriage, like cannabis legalization, shutting down mass shooting and whatnot. But you cannot look at it. How long has humanity, like real civilization, been? 10,000 years, don't you think? And what progress have you made? There's still evil. This evil exists, evil will exist, and evil has existed, like the Bret Hart. I don't know what Bret Hart. I don't know why I said Bret Hart. Bret Hart. What was it? Never mind. I don't know. Bret the Hitman Hart. Anywho, I don't know why I dragged Bret Hart into it. Yeah, the point being, stop fucking doing good in the world. But yeah, mass surveillance is not good. You have thrown the baby with the bathwater. You have lost sight of the whole fucking forest because of the trees. Mass surveillance, censorship, mass rampant censorship. Fucking, you know, Facebook have dropping even if you write, even if it's a Google suicide, all the Samsa hotline will show up. It's like you live in a paranoid, fucking fearful society where we can't even Google the things like suicide, death, whatever, mental illness, depression, under with the shits like fucking big tech, Facebook, Twitter, fucking Google, shits like babysitters popping their fucking ads up about who thinks the in the giddy way, like this gaggle thinks that they're making a difference. You're not. You're making you're encouraging a paranoid culture where everyone should live in fear, just like China, just like the Black Mirror episode. That's what you have done. And guess what? I gave YouTube a one-star review. That's what you get for introducing review culture, because YouTube is under the umbrella of Google, and that's what you get. Everything is a review, and then you review the reviewer. Bill Maher talked about it, right? And then how was the survey? And how was the survey of the survey? Fuck you. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Really? Censorship? These are liberal values? Free speech? Isn't that the very first foundation of our America? Is free speech, freedom of speech? And you want to take that away, and you have the nerve to call yourself liberals and Democrats. The thing that you're not. The very thing you're not. You have the nerve. You're just like sheep in wolf in sheep's clothing. You're just like the Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf who's pretending to be the grandma. Goody goodies are thieves of virtue. The more virtue signaling, the more saintly you have, saint complex you have, the more pristine you tend to paint yourself as, the more debased you really are. Anyway, I'm done ranting here, bro. Fuck that. Fuck SJW. Fuck woke culture. Fuck Democrats. Fuck libs. And I'm a center. I'm not even a center. I am who I am. I'm God here. I don't run in your circles. I have my own views. I have my own values. I've integrated my own philosophy, my own personal views. I don't side neither with the right, neither with the left. I am who I am. I am Alpha. I'm Omega. I am me. I have my own views. I call all the shots. I'm the shot caller. I pull all the strings. I'm not a fucking puppet of anyone. I'm not an apologist of anyone. Unlike you liberals who are like, who apologists for China and whatnot. Fuck you.